Ravenswood, the TV show, sometimes deals with disturbing and problematic topics. We've provided a list of content warnings in the episode description. Number 1, jump scares. Number 2, jump scares. Number 3, creepy children.
Emily's problems.
Those are my problems, yeah. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to Dead Ends. I'm Emily.
I'm Brenton.
And we have 2 new episodes of Ravenswood for you.
We do. Better than last week's, but we're still not where we need to be.
Honey,
we're gonna go back. We're gonna watch some tapes, see if we can figure this out. Crack it before we're canceled.
We're gonna be canceled.
Yeah.
Like the show was canceled, not you and I.
Right.
We did not write Ravenswood, therefore.
Please don't come for us. Yeah.
Our very small, very kind group of people that listen to this podcast.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
I don't think they're gonna come for us. They might be like, we told you not to watch it.
Yes, I'm sure people will be very excited when we are done with this. Only a couple more weeks after this.
You know who is included in those people?
You.
Me. I'm so fucking done. I don't care anymore.
No,
but we're going to keep watching it. I'm not a quitter. But I don't get how they thought a spinoff from Pretty Little Liars that was going to go anywhere.
they didn't do it right.
No. They didn't make it camp. They didn't make it hokey.
This was some of the improvements this week, but they didn't get far enough. There should be more scarecrows attacking people in more episodes. I'm not talking about doing the same thing over and over, but that was okay, here's something. Let's do something like this. This is great. Evil, sinister cabals of people in the 1917 and performing magic.
I will say I think that was the best episode.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So it's all that stuff is feels too late. And I get it is probably starting off on a strong note because episode 6 is when they come back from the holiday break. But it's still not enough because you just have to deal with all the stupid shit around Caleb and Miranda, which I think is ultimately the show's major mistake.
Do you think so? What I think is kind of the issue too is obviously Pretty Little Liars is a 20+ episode season most of the time, if not more. And so they really had the privilege of walking you through the characters rather slowly and taking the time. And they only had 10 episodes. And this was, I feel like this, the 10 episode, Netflix binge-worthy shows weren't really in existence yet.
No.
And so they had nothing to, I'm there's plenty of other shows, I'm sure that are only 10 episodes. But it just feels like they didn't have a good formula for how to make a good, succinct story.
No. And also with Pretty Little Liars, you had 4 POVs with their own individual things going on, where everybody's uber connected in this. Caleb only has everybody else that's part of the gang. Miranda is essentially tied to everybody else because she can't interact with anybody else. So you don't get any more of the Collins things other than weird little hints and glances. And then even Luke and Olivia's life is very zoomed in. Their mom does not play a big role at all. She's
and they
more
don't
just
really talk about the mystery of their parents being dead.
No.
Or their dad.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
They don't really talk about it after the first couple episodes.
No.
And you'd think Pretty Little Liars is the underlying thread is Allison, but also Allison was a monster. Allison was the demon and the victim.
Right.
Allison is the horror story. But I think that thread carried through everything. But you had so many other pieces that sometimes you forget Allison's missing.
Right, exactly. Even in Pretty Little Liars, at least what we've watched so far, weakest stuff at the beginning, there's still a lot happening between all the different characters, and there's just not here. Except for in the 6th episode, when you start getting a ton of stuff where it's I feel like we should have had a sinister preacher figure haunting this the entire time, or like that they would be in more danger. In horror movies, like even going back to like Final Destination, they get bumped off one by one. No one's even been threatened with danger. And I think that's one of the things in the haunted house episode in episode 5 is just like, what was the point with that? It seems like the house shakes, but then they just like get out.
Yeah, they were supposed to be trapped, but then they weren't trapped.
Yeah. It doesn't really read as like there really like something really bad is going to happen. So then in episode 6, you get something funny where it's like a scarecrow is diving in the barn and Luke and Caleb are fighting a scarecrow.
Yeah.
Or even more creepy stuff where there's an eyeball in Remy's like weird dreams in her coffee. But so yeah, there's just not enough there to keep it interesting.
Or like, why did the thing attack them in the 6th episode in the shed? Like, was that like a spell, or is that like the creepy kid? And I have lots of questions that I don't feel like they're even fair to ask you because the plot is so convoluted.
Oh yeah, I've got lots of questions too. No, like in the same thing, I was just like, I'm gonna start thinking of what my questions are.
Yeah.
Because just after watching the episode, I have a billion. But I think the things that I do want like more like I don't need as many answers if there's more interesting things happening of like we get that a force is preventing Remy from going to see things in a dream, and like that's a fine enough explanation for then spooky shit starting to happen and attack people, but like you have to have both of those things, like an elliptical force and them being put in danger, because this is a horror show. So
yeah,
I don't know.
It's not great.
No. I think the character stuff, as we talked about last week, is hit and miss.
I don't think this was big enough to have. I don't know how big the fandom was around the show. But I would have liked it to have carried on just for like a Miranda Olivia fandom. Like that's the ship I want to be on. It seems like the best ship.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's just friendship. And I'm like, why couldn't this have been the romance plot? And we could have had Caleb just being like, you know what, Hannah, I can't be with you. Like they could have still done the breakup. Could have still been like, I can't be with you because I need to keep you safe bullshit. Which also like Caleb and Hannah aren't the like lie to each other about things. People, it doesn't make any fucking sense. No. This whole thing is a mockery of Caleb's character.
It really is.
It's not the same character.
No, it isn't at all.
He hasn't done one Cody thing.
Nope. Yeah.
When was the last time he did code?
He's not even the one looking up this like historical shit.
No.
He should be the one doing this. I don't care if Remy works at the paper.
Couldn't he hack into like anything?
Right. Marlene.
Caleb hacks into heaven.
Yes. That would be a good one.
I would write this like Touched by an Angel episodes.
Right. He hacks into the demon registry.
And then Gabriel shows up.
Right, exactly. Yeah, he gets an email from like Gabriel.Abaddon. Oh shit, it's the preacher. Because I can't even say his name, which is funny. But
yeah, I don't get it. That's like my vibe with the show. Like I get why it did not do well because I don't get it.
Yeah.
Vocal fry was needed on that.
Yeah. I can't do it.
It's very natural for me.
This comes. I mean, you're of the valley, but not whatever the
valley. San Fernando Valley. I'm from the San Joaquin Valley.
Yeah.
The Central Valley, which is the actual valley in California.
Take your fry and back to. That's all right. I can't put downs.
I don't know what you were trying to.
I was trying to do like from us the people from San Joaquin Valley like talking down to the San Fernando Valley people, but
yeah, I don't know anything to insult people with.
No, I digress. But I do have
took Yo Mama off the air a long time ago, so I think maybe
everybody's favorite Wilder Valderrama. He was the guy who hosted you. He was Fez from that 70s show.
Oh.
Yeah, he dated Demi Lovato when she was like 21.
That's the same guy?
Yeah.
when he was like 29 and she was like 18.
Yeah. And he'd like, and he's like another like John Mayer, like that. Like
yeah, she has a song about him.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're all waiting for the Yo Mama reboot. But in the meantime, I will regale you with Ravenswood episode 5, Scared to Death. I watched a lot of Yo Mama. I mean,
did you really?
Yeah, it's just
I've never watched it.
I watched a decent amount of Yo Mama.
I don't know where I pulled it from. Like the commercials.
So funny. Okay, for those of you who don't know, because like if you missed
this phase on MTV, really, right?
Yeah,
wasn't it MTV?
It was MTV. So like, who cares?
This is around the Room Raiders era.
It was after that.
Oh, that's why I stopped watching MTV when I was the right age to watch MTV.
This was we were in high school, I think, at this point. Yo Mama was a competition show where people would come up and they would it would be the person with the best insults win. So like Yo Mama jokes, which were big in the mid 2000s for whatever reason.
Because men have no creativity.
Yeah. Also, if you need more evidence of like the 2000s that were really fucking wild in time, look there. I think it was off the air maybe by the time the markets crashed.
You know what I was thinking about from MTV the other day though is Pimp My Ride. Because like what a show.
Yeah, and especially I think in the background of all those, like the rides like didn't even really like work, and there's
this person's like, oh, I want to get like my car redone so I can take my kids to school or whatever, and they're like, we put a hot tub or we covered it in monster stickers.
There's a fish tank and a PS2 in there. But yeah, it was a competition show. Yo Mama was to a competition with the best insults. So.
And Pimp My Ride was a show where they redid people's cars.
Yep, to a ludicrous degree. Ludicrous degree. No, but that wasn't ludicrous. It was Exhibit.
Was it?
Yeah.
I didn't know who hosted it. I couldn't. Once again, I'd never paid attention to who was talking in the microphone.
I watched a decent amount of that too. Watched a lot of TV.
See, Room Raiders. What was the one with the dates? Next.
I watched a lot of Next.
I watched a lot of Next. Granny and I used to watch Next together.
Also, Next. So I was just like, oh my god, they have gay and lesbian episodes. Yeah.
Yeah, and some that were bi, and yeah, there's lots. Granny and I used to watch it and try to guess who they'd pick. Granny liked Next, and she also liked That's So Raven. And you know what? I love a woman with variety.
I like shriveled with age when I've seen like people pass around clips from Next on Twitter, and it's like, oh my god, they were so young.
Yeah. And they were older than us. Like, at the time you're like, oh, these are 18-year-olds.
Right, exactly, yeah. And it's like, and now I'm going like, they had 18-year-olds doing this show? I digress.
Or wasn't there the one where the parents picked the dates?
Yes, that was...
I liked that one too.
Was that like Remote Control or something?
Remote Control. Yeah, you're good.
I watched these. I watched these shows.
Me too. We could have had a great time.
Yeah, and then it was just like the one like problem boyfriend or like girlfriend that just sat there and talked shit with the parents the entire time. And the parents are like, "You're fucking out the door." Like, look at her having a great time, and then like the scumbag sitting next to him being like,
No wonder I love Dance Moms.
Yeah. And then at the end, like, it was always the best when it's just like, I picked nobody. Or when
they broke up with the boyfriend and still picked nobody, because that was always my favorite.
Yeah, exactly. But it was also really funny when they decided to stay with whoever the person was, because you just spent a half hour with this person that is like a nightmare, arguing with these parents, and then they're like, I'm going to stay with them.
They need to break up with them too.
This has nothing to do with Ravenswood.
No, but it was a nice little tangent.
Nice little MTV recap. Ravenswood, episode 5, Scared to Death. Miranda is asleep in her bed as her mom opens up the window. She sees she's in her own room. She asks if it's heaven, and her mom says it's where you're supposed to be. Her dad walks in and offers to make her chocolate chip pancakes, her favorite. She asks, and Miranda's like, I can stay. I don't have to leave. And dad says, you're a family, aren't you? She's overwhelmed by the amount of clothes she has on her dresser, and her mom hugs her. The clothes then shake, and a little girl with a doll emerges from the closet. Scratch off your check that off on your bingo cards, everyone. Her name is Max, and Miranda's parents found her playing in the yard, and they're now taking care of her. This is how you know Miranda's in a good spot. Miranda's dad says she doesn't.
I love when my parents bring in a new child.
Right. Oh, well, they found her in the yard, and she just stays. It's kind of like a puppy. Found this cat who didn't have a collar, and we found out Max wasn't Chip, so now she stays.
That's what we said about Herman. Just kidding. We were rescued, but
yeah, it was just in someone else's yard. Miranda's dad says she doesn't talk, but she will soon. Miranda's parents leave, and the little girl sits on the bed brushing the doll's hair.
that's so ominous.
It's extremely ominous. Max's head then spins completely around, and then suddenly Caleb wakes up.
And I screamed.
Yeah, you were like, oh no. You did not like the little girl.
I don't like creepy kid stuff because I find children terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
I babysat my little cousins a lot. They were scary.
Right.
They'd be like, "Oh, Emily, look at the policeman in the corner." There was no fucking policeman. And then I tell my grandma, and she'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's your cousin Ronnie or whatever." And I'm like, "Jesus fucking Christ,
That's
I gotta
really
go.
scary.
I gotta go. I don't want to be alone with either of you right now.
Mm-hmm.
You keep the kid. I'm leaving." And so I just find children a little terrifying.
Talk to me when you're in like 5th grade.
I believe in the afterlife. I believe in all of that. I believe in the ghosties. But like, and I even believe that people see them. But like,
Right.
if a kid's going to see a ghost, I need you to give, like, they don't give good facts. It's not like if you were like, "Oh my God, Emily, I see, a creepy man." And I'd be like, "Okay, what does he look like? What's he doing? How do we get rid of him?" He'll go away. This child was not going to do that.
Yeah.
She was just like, "Oh, wave at the policeman." And I was like, "I don't think I want to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to wave at him."
Yeah, that's a little scary.
She's probably just playing pretend, but
Right. Either way, creepy.
children are terrifying.
You heard it here first.
That'll be our pregnancy announcement.
We're terrified. Oh shit.
Demon has spawned.
Caleb meets. Oh, sorry.
Nothing. I was going to be like, I'm not anti-children. I'm just a little scared of them.
Just don't like him. Caleb meets with the other Scooby gang and says Miranda's not safe. Remy is pissed Luke came with Olivia because she had just called Olivia, not him. Caleb says the little girl is dangerous. Olivia looks through the box from Henry. It has the date 1918 on it, which is the same year that original Caleb and original Miranda died. Herefore, I will call them O Caleb and O Miranda. There's a letter in the box that Caleb... Happy St. Patrick's Day. Thanks. The letter in the box that Caleb thinks was from O Caleb to O Miranda.
I was just going to ask if you did the apostrophe when you said that.
In the flashback, O Miranda and O Caleb are walking along a path. Caleb expresses his love for her. In the present, they wonder if original Caleb was writing to original Miranda to see if she felt the same way. They wonder what the map is inside. Caleb in the box. Caleb sees a picture of a room and says, "That's where Miranda is in the dream." Remy says, Raymond would know where this is.
Why would he?
Right. I'm assuming like that he would be like, it would be like connected to the Collins house. Raymond then texts Caleb to tell him to get to work. Caleb says we should all meet later and drive to Henry. It's awkward between Luke and Remy, and Luke says we can't avoid this forever. We have to talk. Olivia takes the box and Remy ices out Luke. Olivia and Luke arrive home. Olivia gets to work baking, and Luke mentions that she dives into baking when she's sad. Olivia asks Luke to talk about his breakup. He says, I was honest about something that I shouldn't have been. I think the truth is overrated. Luke tells Olivia, Dylan is getting jealous over like your new friends. And Olivia says, I'm keeping him safe and out of this. They bond over trying to handle the situation. Remy checks her email and sees an email from Simon Beaumont, her father. She opens it and is shocked, but we don't see what's in the email. Caleb and Raymond are working together, and Raymond says, sorry for your loss, and then unzips the body bag to reveal Henry. Raymond says he was scared to death. Episode title. Caleb and Remy talk on the phone about Henry. The window opens in Caleb's loft, and he hangs up with Remy to go close it. As he goes to close it...
Sorry to interrupt. I just have this weird issue with this show where Caleb does not have appropriate reactions.
No, not at all.
If my window was opening on its fucking own and I knew there were demons getting me, I would leave.
Yeah, absolutely. I would have gone home.
Or like, I would have gone to like a witchcraft or a cult store and I would have been like, you got any salt? Like, what do I do to protect myself?
At the very least, don't hang up the call.
Yeah, stay on the phone so someone can call in case the ghost tries to take you.
Right. Or like, at least someone would know. Other than like, I talked to Caleb at some point. Where has he been all day? The window opens and Caleb's... Yeah. He goes to close it, and then a ghostly boy with blood in his eyes appears behind him for a second, but he doesn't see this. Mrs. Grundwald then knocks at the door, bringing Caleb lunch. Caleb sets down the photo from the box and asks if she recognizes it. She's like, no, should I? She's like, you're looking for Miranda, aren't you? She may have found her way to her family's home. Miranda's father was a college teacher, and they moved close to the college. I can get an address for you, and takes her leave. Dylan comes to visit Olivia, and she puts away the items in the box. He's wondering why she hasn't answered his calls, and Olivia says, I know I haven't been around as much lately, but I'm okay. And they both say they miss each other. He asks about the box, and Olivia says it's Caleb. Dylan gets all jealous, and then Olivia explains that it belonged to a relative of his. Dylan opens the box and finds a ring and says he can help, track down all this stuff for you. And she's like, let's look through it together. She goes to make food as Dylan looks through it. Luke approaches Remy at the vault. He wants to talk, but Remy doesn't. His phone rings, and they both see it's from Tess. Remy puts up her boundaries immediately, and it's just like, we only get to talk about, trying to survive and not, about any of this, girlfriend stuff, because I'm not yours. Caleb arrives at the address to find an empty lot. Raymond prepares to embalm Henry. Grundwald comes in saying it's a shame he had to go like that. Raymond says he knew it was coming. Grundwald says, Caleb's looking for Miranda. You need to do it tonight. Caleb answers a call from Hannah. We actually see Hannah on the other side. And they have a conversation. She says she misses him, and he avoids telling her about the details of his time in Ravenswood, but says that he's going to come. Oh, wait, no, that's later. Dylan looks at the map and sees that he's like, this is like a blueprint. And look at this. This is for a sublevel. This would be for a basement. Olivia Googles, she Zeekers, because that's the name of the Google equivalent on her laptop. Ravenswood Architect 1918, but literally returns 0 results. How could that happen? Dylan asks if Remy is helping. This is like the Arrested Development joke of Sacramendi, but that was in 2003. Dylan asks if Remy is helping, and Olivia says, yes, I can call her tomorrow. Dylan says, I would like to talk to her too, if that's okay, and Olivia kisses him. Anna says she made a reservation at the Ravenswood Inn for the two of them. Tells her to make a reservation at Apple Rose Grill instead, and I'm coming home. They both say I love you and hang up. Caleb sleeps as the window unlocks. He rolls over and the ghostly boy appears again. Caleb,
he's so spooky.
It's really spooky.
It made me do the jump. The jump?
Mm-hmm.
Just like the Facebook.
That's right. Caleb speaks to Miranda.
We're a mess.
And Caleb speaks to Miranda in his dream and says the little girl wants to hurt you and this is a dream. Miranda's closet bangs and he goes to open it. He opens it to find nothing, but the clothes are still moving. He moves the clothes back, but finds a door instead, and he opens it, and we see there's the top of trees outside. He says, Miranda, you can leave here. It's here's the way out. Max then comes into the room, and Miranda goes and hugs her, and Miranda says, you can go now. I'm where I want to be, and officer let Max sleep in her room. Miranda falls asleep, and Max gets up. She looks under the bed and smiles as Caleb wakes up and sees that it's midnight. Raymond walks out to Miranda's grave and begins digging it up. We see a phone ringing with Luke calling, and then Remy, but we then see that Remy is out of bed with her hand bleeding, and she finds that she's in the storage room of the vault and broke through the glass on the door to get in. She calls the crew, and Luke is mad that Remy didn't say anything about her sleepwalking. She's mad. He kissed Tess, which is news to Olivia. Caleb says, snap at it. We never follow up on this in the next episode. Caleb said, it's like we completely forgot about it. Caleb says, snap out of it.
Well, yeah, we had 4 or 5 months to forget about it.
Right. Caleb says, snap out of it. We need to work on this together. Remy says, I felt like I was led here. They start to look around. Olivia and Remy discuss the history of the vault and how it used to be the first bank on Main Street, built in 1918. Same year that Miranda and Caleb died, yet again. Luke says,
Miranda, no Caleb.
Miranda, oh, Caleb. Luke says, you mean murdered, and says okay, I've come around, that we were probably cursed. Olivia puts together the floor plan was for the old bank. Luke sees that there's another room behind a cabinet that is sealed with brick. Caleb and Luke then find sledgehammers and take sledgehammers to the wall. They find bodies.
People are not worried about being caught, and I love that for them.
Mm-hmm. Who's going to come find us? They find bodies in the same dress as Miranda and Caleb in the room, but it's not them. At the same time, we see Raymond also digging up Miranda's grave as Grundwald tells him, you have to hurry, and he takes another lock of Miranda's hair. As they look in the room, they find that the wall was built from the inside, and the two people came here to die. Remy sees a ring near the skeleton's hand and grabs it. It's identical to the one in the box. Olivia finds a letter from Miranda to Caleb. Flashback. She expresses her love to Caleb for eternity and they kiss. In the present, Caleb says, I don't think these are love letters, they're vows. Luke finds their wedding license by ship's captain. They were killed in a boating accident with their 3 friends on the wedding day. Luke finds a book that says things about the curse. The 2 skeletons are Thomas and Esther. They thought that killing themselves would bring Miranda and Caleb back to reverse the curse. Remy says maybe it worked. I don't think there's a coincidence between the ancestor resemblance in Caleb and Miranda. Caleb doesn't want to believe it. Olivia says maybe we all don't have to die then. Caleb says I don't think Miranda and I are the chosen ones. And there's also a line in there where Caleb's like, I wasn't in love with her when I met her on the bus. Well, what do you call now? Remy thinks they found why she can't move on. Luke also finds a picture of Miranda in front of a house, and Remy says, that's a creepy old house on Sawmill Road. They go to the house, and as they walk up and inside the house, the front door opens. They go in, and then the door's shut. They search the house, and Olivia finds 2 red coats identical to the ones the little girls wore that we've seen in both the Ravenswood episodes and all the way back in the season 4, the last Pretty Little Liars we watched. There's a grandfather clock in there, which is still ticking and then goes off. The lights start to turn on. Olivia sees one of the coats is gone. Caleb calls to Miranda as candles light. They see Max wearing a red coat, saying Miranda didn't bring you here, I did, and Miranda's waiting for you in hell. And her voice gets all deep, and then a wind starts blowing as Max laughs. They all go running, but can't open the front door. They see Max is gone. Caleb doesn't want to leave until they find Miranda. They hear a ring around the rosy in the girl's voice.
Yeah, because not only does her head turn around and she's a creepy child, but she sings.
Yeah, we got to hit all the notes here on that one.
Classic Plague song, too.
Max appears over the banister, asking if they want to play before disappearing.
I literally went, ooh.
Yeah. Miranda combs her hair as Caleb opens her bedroom door, and we see her room is super dilapidated to match the rest of the house. She wonders how they all got here. They close the door to the room to keep Max out. The chandeliers shake, and we see screws flying out of the wall, and one scratches Luke. Caleb goes to the closet and opens the door, and we see outside. Luke drops first and helps everyone else out. Caleb is the last one and tells Miranda it's time to go, even though Miranda's hesitant. The door opens to Miranda's mom coming through, who says, if you don't come with me now, Miranda, we can't be together ever again. Miranda asks if Caleb can see her, and he says no. Miranda asks if she remembers when she learned to ride her bike at 3, and her mom says, of course, it was a big moment for you. Miranda cries and says, I never learned how to ride a bike. They died before they could teach me. Her mom says it doesn't have to be real for you to be happy. And Miranda says, yes, it does. The entire house shakes, and Miranda goes out and jumps down. Caleb gets knocked in the back as he's going out of the house. Caleb wakes up on the front street in front of the house, and Miranda helps him up. Says, I can feel you. And she's like, you're with me now, but I think there's time for you to get back. He grabs her face and says, it feels right being here with you. She kisses him on the cheek and says, it's not right yet, but I know it will be. He touches her on the forehead, I don't know, and says it's not right yet, touches her on the forehead, and we see he's awake in the hospital. The other Scooby Gang are there watching him, plus Dylan, who's glad Olivia called him. They hug. Luke grabs Remy's hand. Raymond labels the new jar as Grundwald comes in, saying they're still alive. Puts the jar in a steel box similar to Henry's and locks it with a key. At the hospital, Dylan goes to get the crew coffee. Suddenly, Max walks up behind him, and he goes to follow her. He follows her into a supply closet and says, after all we did to get them in that house, how did this happen? Max says their connection was stronger than I thought. Dylan says he's going to be very unhappy. We then see Max CGI'd into the graveyard as crows fly around. She then holds her arms up as one lands on her arm.
Uh-huh.
The end.
Yeah. So, let's talk. We're gonna have a very difficult.
Sit down.
I pulled up my HR. I'm like, today we're gonna have to have a very difficult conversation.
It's about episode 5 of Ravenswood.
Unfortunately, I don't think your performance is meeting my standards. No. Okay. So let's start with something fun. Why does Luke think secrets are better than truths? Is he in his Allie era?
No, he's just being a dumb idiot.
Yeah, because he's a man. He can't be in his Allie era.
No, exactly.
Well, he can't. I'm sure there are men who could, but not him.
Right. It's like, he's being indignant, and I don't know how much we're supposed to read into like him being like, oh, I should have told the truth. If more, he's just being like, damn, got into this stupid mess and just being annoyed. But like, we also don't get him like really reconciling. Like, he tries to talk to Remy, and Tess is calling him.
Yeah.
Like, bro.
Also, like, what about Tess?
You gotta, exactly. You gotta break that up if you want to come back. We don't see any of that. Tess is still on the hook somewhere.
Or is Tess? Do you think Tess is working with Dylan?
Yes.
You think Tess is evil too?
Yeah, absolutely. She grabbed the crown and like did the crazy laugh thing. I think she intentionally is like trying to get close to Luke because she's part of the evil cabal. But I mean that doesn't excuse Luke. Luke again being annoying.
Yeah.
You know, he just sucks the air out of the room. And I don't think the guy doing it is a bad actor or anything.
No.
I think
it's the character.
Yeah, I think he's just giving shit. I think he's a good actor.
Yeah. He just, you don't have much to work with there.
No.
Why was Caleb's Uncle Henry scared to death? What scared him?
It seemed like whatever he passed off to Caleb
had like kept him safe somehow.
Yeah, that like now that like Caleb's in command of these things, because that's the only thing that would have happened to precipitate Henry now dying. But like Raymond and Grundwald are like, well, he knew what was coming. Mm-hmm. So like, was he?
But he gave Caleb the keys.
Right. So was he somehow, to get the box, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like. Oh, right. So he was brother to Caleb.
Mm-hmm.
So it must have been something to like help. I don't know how he would have been chasing off death.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the thing. It's like, I don't understand. It was obviously something to try and bring Caleb back.
Mm-hmm.
Is what I think was his like crusade, or like to try and end the curse.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Grundwald and Raymond were like, they aren't trying to end the curse, they're just trying to keep souls safe.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I think they're like, whatever.
If they tie them to that property, they can't get taken anywhere.
Right, exactly.
By, like, the evil spirit.
Yeah, they're like, well, we can't fix this, so we just have to do the best we can.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think, it's like that type of stuff. Like, I don't know what would have killed Henry. And that is the type of thing that would seem like it would get answered later, mm-hmm. of like, who is exactly doing what. I'm mm-hmm. assuming servants of him, whoever the big guy is, which is, I'm assuming, like the head of the Collins line. But we get more on that next episode, is where I'm thinking that comes from.
Who's the creepy dead teen boy in Caleb's room?
My theory is that it's the same apparition that like pins down Miranda in the next episode, and I think it's probably like Grundwald's son.
Oh. Okay.
And more on that next episode, because that's where I get that main theory from. It's when she talks to him at the end of the episode, or talks to the ghost thing.
Yeah, she talks to like something we don't see, whereas like in Caleb's room we see what it is.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they're not the same. I'm just
right. They could be two completely different things because they appear differently.
Mm-hmm. But it could also just be appearing differently for different eyes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why did Max look under the bed? Sounds like how many?
Right.
Why did the chicken cross the road?
So if Max left at 9:15 and the
train was going 20 miles an hour,
it's like some sort of dream eater or something was gonna like kill Miranda or something. I don't know what was under the bed that like. Why was Miranda safe so long, but yet in obvious peril?
Maybe they needed all the souls, so Miranda's just kind of like in like a holding phase.
Right, they need them all together to be able. They
needed Miranda to be separate.
They need them all to die, because then there's nothing to like keep them in the mortal plane.
But right now Miranda's tied to the mortal plane because of Caleb.
Right. And their connection. Yeah, that's. I don't know if you have questions on that. I don't have a good idea of like what is under the bed.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if this is the part to jump into talking about Miranda and Caleb.
get to that.
Okay,
think.
perfect.
I put Jughead. Caleb is in his Jughead era because he's wearing a beanie in this episode, and then I was like, why?
He's serving. I'm not going to fit in.
Yeah, and I don't want to fit in, and that's valid. You know what? He doesn't want to be dead.
That's fair. I don't know. He was kind of like at the end, like maybe I should be dead.
Why is Miranda tricked by the ghosts and like the images? Like she can see like her mom and her dad and that it's a beautiful home and all of that when we know that she's in this like dilapidated building.
Right. I think wherever her mom, like the spirit like led her, like since she's in a different plane and they see Max seems to like derive her power and things, like be able to control the house, that whatever it is there can control like visions and what you see of things, even appearing as Miranda's mom to her, because like Caleb also can't see her, so it's whatever plane is there is like in control of whatever the demonic, the ghostly forces of that house.
I wondered if it also had to do with the hair thing, like if somehow with the uncle keeping the hair, it like tied her to like this plane and like what reality was, and without it, then maybe she would like fall to the. Like they could trick her with illusions almost.
Right. No, that could actually be totally true, because that was one of my questions was, what is the power of the hair, of like keeping the hair, other than keeping her at the grounds? Because then why we get that in the next episode? It's like, I can't leave again, but it's like, why wasn't she immediately transported back there?
We also don't know like when they got out versus when he did that. Like,
right. Yeah, I guess that's true, because it just looks like it's happening at the exact same. Well,
and Pretty Little Liars does that a lot. I know.
Oh yeah,
where you're like, oh, these are all happening on different, like at the same time, and then you're like, these are 3 different days.
The most famous one of Spencer kidnapping Malcolm. Good times. I forgot about that. That is a very good trick they pull on that one.
Yeah, they really don't give you things in the same timeline that you think they are.
The only one for this is, I would assume, because Grundwald's like, you have to hurry, and then that they survived. Makes me think that it happened simultaneously. But I don't know what the power of the keeping the hair in the jar does, other than keeping her there, which is confusing. Because I'm like, I think that is a good point, that it could be like it ties her back so that she's not getting tricked and sucked in by these other demons and things. But then why wasn't she immediately brought back to the house and like immediately like kept there? Because she moves around and she's at the hospital, like, so I don't know.
Okay, and then do you want to jump into a little Caleb and Miranda before we move on to episode 6? Or did you? Yeah.
That's a good call. I think this is the writer's biggest hubris. Because this is a spinoff to Pretty Little Liars, and I think I would assume that the main demographic that they're targeting is Pretty Little Liars fans, and I mean obviously other people,
and boys. There's a boy in it. It's gotta be for boys.
Oh, right.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that was the angle. That's just the thing I'm yelling.
No, I mean, I could see it. And they understand that shipping was a big part of Pretty Little Liars, but their biggest mistake is using Caleb, who's a character that we spent multiple seasons with, who was with Hannah, like, who
might be one of the most beloved of the girls. I think, like, most people had a Hannah soft spot.
I can imagine, because Hannah does things irrationally sometimes, but, like, is always, like, coming out swinging and fighting people. So then, of course, you're just like, well, okay, she messed up this week, but, like,
Hannah, put down the gun.
And half the time when Hannah's, like, lying about things, it's like, yeah, I think my mom murdered someone, or, like, the police are extorting my mom. You know what I mean?
Or, like, my mom stole a lot of money.
Right.
And she keeps it in the lasagna box.
Right. It's so much more heightened than everybody else's, where it's like everybody else, you kind of be like, you probably need to tell someone. Where it's like Hannah's, it's like, well, I can kind of see why you wouldn't want to tell anybody. Right. Yeah. So then, people like Hannah. But then now you're saying that Caleb is in this, what do you call, like, fated mates? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I guess so. Like a fated mates, like a soulmates. Yeah. But the other thing with it too, though, is they're still kind of trying to love triangle it by including Hannah. And I think that doesn't necessarily work because we know how much chemistry Caleb and Hannah have, even like without seeing it in this show, to be like, and that's not to say that the actors didn't have chemistry in this show, but it's just, you're like, we have years of chemistry.
Yes.
Versus like 5 episodes.
Yeah. It's super rushed. You could, and yeah, and for what, to break up something that has been a long time. I'm sure there's a lot of Caleb fans at this point, I'm assuming. So like, you're also really burning your bridges fast. Even if this was like a great show, there's like a big reason that you're giving people to like hate it. And that's like a big gamble. Not a big gamble. This is like a big call that you're trying to make, and it's not working. To try and like fix this, it's like, yeah, this means we're committed to this show. Like, you're really making a called shot that this is going to be big and going to go. And it's like, and now we need to have Caleb away. And this is like this big thing where it's like, these are the new pairs. Rather than trying to give us any other pairs to really ship on, we like dive into established relationships that like are already kind of like weird. Luke is kind of unpleasant in relationships, so it's like, why do we enjoy him? And Dylan has been off screen and then is now in a villain turn, which is fun.
Yeah,
but it's not the same thing as like what they're trying to. They're not good at replicating what was in Pretty Little Liars. So now we just get people going like, and in the next episode too, which is annoying, of being like, you like Miranda or like you like Caleb.
Yeah, it's a little more juvenile too in that sense. And I feel like even though this is like a bigger, I don't know if this to me feels like a bigger threat to their safety, and yet I feel like the girls of Pretty Little Liars take their situation significantly more seriously. But not in like a way where they don't take it seriously and it's fun here. It's just like, I don't know.
Yeah, they're not doing there's no wink wink nod nods of like the Marvel sort of things. Like, thank God, that'd be annoying. But it's weird to try and place your bets on like people really liking Miranda and Caleb, and that's going to be the crux of this show. To like put the linchpin that these two characters like were meant to be together from like even a potentially previous life is like, really? Like,
it's a really bold move for a show for teens specifically. I think if this was like an adult television show, and it'd have to be completely different because you couldn't have half the stuff you have in it because it's a teen show. But if you were trying to make like a serious adult show that had like a kind of like spin off with like a love triangle, like you stand a better chance because like I say adult, but you know what I mean? Like when it's about people in their like late 20s and 30s and they kind of have like a life outside of the problem. So like they have, like you mentioned earlier, like so many other things going on. I think then it's a little easier to then be like, okay, well, like I don't really know how I feel about this relationship, but like I love that Caleb is working at a tech startup and he's doing code, and Remy is trying to bust his boss for embezzlement. You know what I mean? Like as a journalist, like if it was like
there's
that and there was like a bunch of other compelling plot lines, you'd be like, you know what? I get like obviously they couldn't bring this character over and this is a crucial plot line, like that'd be interesting. But because like the whole show is Caleb is doing nothing but this.
Yeah.
Caleb didn't even put this much, I mean, you did put this much effort into finding A. But
yeah,
you should have never let Toby borrow his car. When's he gonna get his car back from Toby?
Yeah. Never.
Toby's got his car.
Well, I guess he must have gotten it back at some point.
Did he?
How does he take the bus back to Rosewood?
Oh, maybe he goes back to get his car. Yeah, I don't know. I know he drives his car out. So in the episode of Pretty Little Liars that comes in between this episode and the next episode of this, he does, when he leaves, he's driving a car.
Oh, okay. But also, yeah, to characters we barely know, and now the entire plotline and show as it's been slowly moving towards, is now revolved around these two characters being fated to love each other.
And it'd be kind of fun, I think, if they were like, if they made it really clear that they were never going to fall, like they didn't have that chemistry in this life. I think that'd be kind of more fun.
Yeah.
Because then you could be like, oh, what do you do when you're in like a new, do your life experiences shape your love, or do You know, like how does this work?
Weird prophecies and stuff
exactly.
like that.
Like how much is nature? How much is nurture? How much is magic?
Right. Huh?
Yeah.
So it's just a bummer, and it sinks the entire thing, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Would you like to summarize chapter 6?
Yes, chapter 6. Popcorn, Emily. No, real quick before we move, they do this weird. There's a whole lot of misogyny thrown at Olivia this episode, which I think is completely uncalled for, especially for the writers that just came from Pretty Little Liars.
They tried to make her a Spencer. Like tried to make her all of. It felt like they tried to make her all of the other characters.
Yeah, and
like a Spencer Hannah combo.
Because she's like, yeah, right. But like she's like kind of dumb and naive, but like she's also really smart and like doesn't let like her feelings show. She dives into things like baking and stuff like that. But then there's also these weird minor things, like they have her freak out that like a spider touched her as a joke, and that like they also have her be like, oh, you thought I didn't know something, like, well, like bully to you, like all this like weird stuff that they just try and like throw her way, and it's just like, why?
That's why I almost wonder if Ravenswood was supposed to be for the boys.
Yeah. It's like, wow, hey,
you know, like my girlfriend watches Pretty Little Liars, and then I watch Ravenswood because I'm a man.
Just because, like, she's
like knowing that the show's like
right, and it's kind of like telling the audience, like, whoa, like, you know, or she's a
this time.
Exactly, totally. It's like, well, she's a preppy, smart, pretty girl, but like, you know, and she'll like still do those feminine things, but like she also like, you know, she could be pretty tough. I don't know. It's just like, what are you doing? Stop this. You don't need this.
Yeah, like I literally, like, Caleb makes a comment to her at one point. It's like, you date Hannah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, right. Because she solves something, and then Caleb is like surprised, like, whoa, good for you. Wow. Wasn't expecting it coming from the woman in the group. Like,
well,
one of the
non-scholarly woman.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, what is this? Stop.
It's gross.
It is. You just came from a show, like I said, you just came from a show with all female leads, and you'd never really had to make this clarification, because like amongst all the groups, like if Hannah said something dumb, it'd be like, oh, Hannah, you know, it's not like, well, the woman said something dumb. So, well, I guess that's what you get when you don't surround yourself with enough diversity, I guess. Even though you still three, like, and if you really want to like put out like in terms of genders portrayed, it's like 3 versus 2 of them, whatever. Annoying, because I think Olivia is a good character. Other than that, than when they try and like take her out of the knees.
Yeah, I like Olivia.
Yeah, totally. And I think even like her relationship stuff in the next episode makes total sense to me. In a way that I think is good for him to then turn out to be manipulative. Thank you. And I think it works well. But all right, now I'll jump into Ravenswood episode 6 revival. So this one aired on Ravenswood then started airing in the January after the winter break on the same day as Pretty Little Liars. So this flashback is this like recap from Caleb at the beginning is like catching people up, and I'm assuming also catching people up that they're like Pretty Little Liars. I assume is leading into this, because this continues off of the Pretty Little Liars, the episode we haven't seen. But I think that's like what they're trying to do. It's just like, hey, welcome to Ravenswood, now that they're both airing on the same night.
Yeah, like if you didn't watch anything, that's okay. We'll tell you what you need to know.
Right.
We changed Miranda's outfit, I think.
Totally. And I think that's why. So in the recap, Caleb goes, town elders signed a pact in 1917 that no soldier would die from combat, and that no soldier from Ravenswood would die from combat, and since then they haven't, which we were both like, did they say that? But I think the only reason they put that here is so people understand that if they didn't watch the show would have some sort of context, even if they didn't get it, of like what that scene is at the beginning, which I think is not needed. I mean, I think people would be confused, but you kind of would pick up throughout the show. I think it's them not trusting their own show.
Maybe it's subtle misogyny because it came on after Pretty Little Liars. Or maybe it's just bad writing.
Yeah, it could be like the type of like Netflix stuff we see where it's like you really have to like spell it out for people.
That's my hard thing. Like, even as an author, when I'm writing, I'm like, am I making this too obvious, or am I making this not obvious enough?
Right.
And like gauging your audience's ability to understand the puzzle pieces you laid out and put it together.
Totally.
Because sometimes, I mean, even when I read things, sometimes there's things that are super obvious to other people that I'm like, whoa.
Right. And I think that's I would always edge toward the thing that might be a little bit more oblique, but like people could then like, oh, I picked up on this. And you'd be like, oh, wow, I didn't pick up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's something rewarding out of getting something out of,
As long as they can find the answer somewhere.
Right. Yeah. If it's, as long as it's not like too obtuse that you have like, what the hell is happening here?
You mean like Lynch?
Well, no.
There is no meaning.
Well, there is.
We're not going to talk about it, though.
Mm-hmm. The meaning is I really like factories and pipe stacks.
Me when I'm explaining anything in my book.
Yeah.
I put train.
Mm-hmm.
I like trains.
I love strobe effects.
But okay, episode 6.
Yeah. Miranda, we also get a piece of information that Miranda was the first to ever break free. All right, so our first scene is Caleb and Miranda sitting on a blanket making out at night.
What do you mean by break free?
From the like house.
Oh.
Yeah. That's what Caleb says. It's like there's a bunch of jars. It's like when he talks about the jars in the house and he says and Miranda was the first to ever break free.
Yeah, from not being trapped.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you meant from the house, the creepy house.
Oh, no.
And I was like, who else is there?
This has to do with the hair jars.
I was like, who'd we leave behind?
Right. Caleb and Miranda are sitting on a blanket making out. We see a newspaper there on their blanket for Ravenswood Gazette that shows the U.S. went into World War I. After they're done with their session, Miranda hears music and grabs Caleb to go follow it. Caleb sees his dad's car out front and Miranda's family horse, and it's in front of the house. Inside are a bunch of men handing out booklets while a boy plays accordion. A woman named Esther stands up and says it's not right.
The boy with the accordion was so unnecessary.
It's very funny. When we get later, you have to flag it. The little pieces of material that are in the backgrounds of the scenes, like a boy playing accordion.
I don't know if I know any others.
Yes, there is. There's something you had me pause.
Yeah.
Inside, so a woman named Esther stands up and says it's not right what we're doing, and the man says, "Shut up, woman. This is for men." Miranda notices it's her mom. Miranda notices it's her mom.
Like, ooh.
So this is Miranda's mom. Sorry. The preacher up front says, "War is an affront. I offer sheep to protect them." Another man, this is, I know the actor because he's Jesse's, so he's in Righteous Gemstone and he's Jesse's friend and he's the one who has sex with the prostitute. And he turns around and he goes, "Shut up, woman. This is man's work." She then turns to Thomas Rivers. But Thomas Rivers agrees with the men to sign the pact. She leaves as Caleb and Miranda watch her ride off.
It's just like Congress. The men are destroying things for the children and the women. Wow, what a good, not even metaphor, just straight up facts.
Well, we're getting more progressive now, and we have all kinds of women doing that nowadays as well.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, look at us.
Traitors.
Remy reads the book that was found in the hidden room of last episode that says this seems to be from Esther saying "foolish men," and if I from that night, and it's like, if I knew Caleb and Miranda were there, I would have helped them. The entire Scooby Gang wonders why Esther and Thomas ended up working together in the end, because they were the ones that were found. The skeletons were found in the room. Miranda finds that she can't leave the grounds again, and they all think it has something to do with the jars. We also learn that Caleb was gone for 3 days in Rosewood, in which time, in the other Pretty Little Liars episode, he broke up with Hannah.
Ooh, hiss.
Caleb says we have to find out who the preacher was. Luke says we could reverse engineer the pact to break it. Caleb then reads the preacher's name aloud, which is Gabriel Abaddon, and the book bursts into flames. The entire book is now burnt, but they see one page that was saved that has some sort of hymn on it. Olivia finds a locket in the bag, that was from the same place, and they open it to find a picture of a baby and a locket of hair. Miranda? I think so. Olivia and Luke come home and find Raymond is over delivering an orchid. He says their mom is out shopping for groceries. I'm here bringing her flowers and use the spare key that I learned about when I called your mom to get in. He gives the key back to them and Olivia snatches it from him. He says their father was a very good man and then leaves. Caleb ponders out the window when Miranda appears, wondering when they're going to talk about what happened when he was dead and what happened in Rosewood. Caleb broke up with Hannah, and he says, because of you. He didn't tell Hannah about Miranda and says he kept her away to protect her. Miranda's pissed because she's like, she must think I like stole. She doesn't know anything about this situation. She must think I like stole you from her. And he's like, yeah, I guess so then. So Miranda's so angry with him, knocks books off the shelf. Remy posts the locket on like eBay to try and like track whose locket it is, see if he gets any hits, like someone interested in it. She's at the vault with Luke, and apparently they decide they're dating again. Remy says you can help Olivia for now. Like, I'm just waiting on the locket. It's okay. You don't have to worry about me sleepwalking, even though she's like yawning right in front of him. And he's like, okay, I trust that you're fine, and leaves her yawning at the coffee shop. Olivia tells Dylan about Raymond, and he wonders if she thinks Raymond would hurt her mom. Olivia says, I'll talk to you later, and we can have, and like, I need to like go home, go do things now. We can have our date later. Dylan's like, well, my parents are away tomorrow. You can come over. And she's like, I'll think about it, and leaves. Remy sleeps and wakes up at the vault, but it's deserted and it's all at night. She goes to talk to the barista who said she was out. She's like, I didn't wake you up because you were just out and like dead to the world, and is making her coffee. And she starts humming a song that Remy notices. Remy asks about the song, and the barista says, oh, it's an old song. Remy then spoons an eyeball out of her coffee and notices the barista's eye is gone. She wakes up screaming in the shop. Olivia goes to visit Caleb, but he's gone and instead finds Miranda there, so she talks to her. Remy talks to her mom about dreaming and worries about seeing things. Remy's mom then says, when you dream, it feels like something else is going on, doesn't it? Remy says, I feel like someone's trying to show me something. Her mom says, you can control your dreams. Remember that. You can take control. I learned techniques when I got back from Afghanistan about lucid dreaming, and it helps me stave away fear. Remy wants to learn. Olivia asks where Miranda sleeps, and she's like, I don't really. Miranda tells her about Caleb breaking up with Hannah. Olivia's like, well, I feel the same way about like trying to protect Dylan. And then tells Miranda that she's been with him since freshman year. Miranda starts beating around the bush, and it's like, well, have you done the...
Have you done the naughty?
And Olivia's like, are you saying have we had sex? And Olivia's like, why do you want to know? Miranda's like, well, I've been thinking about it since I'm a ghost. I guess I'm going to be a virgin forever. Olivia's like, well, we haven't.
She obviously does not read enough paranormal romance books.
Right. All right. So you just get like Caleb's heart down to like
there's
just
a market out
right
there.
Above
Someone
death.
needs to hold those books open for her. Maybe get her an audiobook so
Right.
she can learn that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I will say that is one section I haven't dabbled into. But...
Olivia seems like the type of person that's like, well, do I have some literature for you?
Right. She's like, let me bring some books over.
I'm on the romance book talk. Olivia
Specifically paranormal.
Right. It's just something about it. Olivia hasn't with Dylan yet, but she's like, I do love Dylan. And which we were both sitting here, and at least me, I was going, kiss.
Yeah,
kiss.
yeah. I want them to kiss. I said that. I'm team, what would we call them?
Oh, Olivanda?
Olivanda, that's cute.
Yeah, I had thought of it earlier.
Like Morbilia, and then it sounds like a demon.
Maria.
Yeah, that would work.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't.
Or nope, that doesn't work. Mariah.
I like yours better.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, I lost it. Oh, but this scene made me go like, oh, did Miranda die because she's the only virgin? But then it was just like Olivia's like, no, we haven't had sex yet. Damn. That doesn't mean that she hasn't had sex yet, though.
It's true, and maybe Olivia's a liar.
Totally.
I mean, I don't know why you'd lie about being a virgin at that age. Once you get older, you kind of flip it the other way, I feel.
Maybe she's like, doesn't want the unwanted attention from like other people.
True, or she doesn't want to talk about it.
Right.
There's lots of reasons you might not want to talk about it.
Especially when she's like, I don't want to be called a slut.
Yeah, especially by a ghost.
Right.
Well,
who are you to talk virgin?
That's the weirdest thing about being a girl ever. or a woman, I guess, but especially at like the teenage years when I was in school, it's like you were supposed to have sex, but you weren't supposed to have sex. And so you kind of ended up in the spot where you're like, some people are like, oh, you're a virgin. And then other people are like, you've had sex.
Right.
And then like, there's no winning.
No.
Do what you want.
Yeah.
Be safe.
Exactly. When you were starting that, I thought you were going like, well, it sucks as a girl because, ghosts, always coming in and making fun of you.
You know how many times I've been having sex and there's been a ghost just mocking me? Him, really?
Mm-hmm. And then when you weren't having sex, it was like virgin. Luke, just no winning with ghosts. Luke,
I'm having a very hard time with the paranormal.
It's not all fun and games like Olivia's novels.
No. I like this narrative we've created for her. It's canon, obviously. Olivia reads paranormal romance.
Mm-hmm. Luke and Caleb have coffee, and he asks about Caleb when Caleb like almost died. Caleb's like, well, I made physical contact with like Miranda, and Luke's like, what happened? What kind of contact? And Caleb's like, we didn't kiss, if that's what you're wondering. And Luke's like, well, if you had to clarify it meant something.
I hate boys.
Yeah. Olivia and Miranda wonder about the jars. Olivia says, if I put that in front of my mother, she'd have to listen that Raymond is bad news. They have to be in the house somewhere. Miranda says she can take a run at Grundwald to see if she can show her where it's at. Grundwald is cleaning up Raymond's office when Miranda spills a vial and writes jars in like the liquid from it. Grundwald then looks annoyed. Miranda then writes in the dust on a cabinet door where Grundwald then just dusts it right off. Grundwald seems to walk right next to her, but doesn't seem to see her. She leaves and the door shuts behind her. A weird CGI visage then like appears out of the grate and pins Miranda down to the ground until Grundwald comes back in. She looks around but sees nothing. Miranda then catches up Olivia on this and says she felt like she was being burnt. She thinks Grundwald did it because it stopped when she came back in. Olivia wonders if she instead has a ghost or a familiar helping protect her. Remy goes to bed as her mom reassures her and helps count her into lucid dreaming. Remy holds on to the locket. At the vault, Olivia runs into Grundwald. She grills her about Raymond and her mom knowing each other, and Grundwald says, well, they've known each other a long time. They're just catching up. She asks about Olivia and says she's still
a virgin.
No, she asked about Miranda. That's what it was, and says there's still something keeping her from like moving on, and it could be something small, maybe like kept in a small little jar. We found it once before, and we'll find it again. Grundwald then steps next to her and says, "You think you have the answers, but you don't even know what the questions are." Caleb comes home, and Miranda comes back and asks to pick up where they left off, and she follows up on the night when he like almost died. Says, "When we were together, I almost asked you to stay with me." Caleb says, I understand you're like lonely there. Miranda's like, well, I didn't want you to stay just for the company. She's like, I just wasn't sure like in the moment about that. Caleb then sighs pensively. Remy is asleep and her mom sits next to her to watch. Her mom then falls asleep and Remy starts to look uncomfortable. In her dream, she's in a forest and stumbles upon the house from the beginning of the episode. She feels a presence behind her and we see a shadow approach. She then turns around to see a scarecrow. Suddenly, the scarecrow jumps from the trees above on top of her, but she just keeps repeating, it's just a dream, it's just a dream, as the scarecrow dissipates. She hears chanting and goes to the house. In real life, we see a shadow start to enter her room, but she startles awake and it disappears, and her mom wakes up to comfort her. Luke and Remy then talk about the dreams. She says, I know I was seeing a real place in the dream, but the scarecrow was trying to stop me. When it couldn't stop me in my dreams, it tried to stop me from dreaming completely. Remy wants to sleepwalk, and Luke needs to be there to prevent her from waking up. He doesn't like this, but she makes him promise. Remy says we'll have to figure out a safe place to sleep. We then cut to Remy trying to sleep at Caleb's while the Scooby Gang watches her, but she can't with everybody watching her. Olivia gets a call from Dylan and goes to talk to him. She's like, I can't hang out tonight, and he says, you're gonna be like, no, like, I don't want you, like, being around, like, there's scary stuff happening. You're gonna be with me tonight. Olivia then turns to everyone, and it's like, he wants me to be with him tonight. And Caleb's like, well, he can't stay here. And Olivia's like, it's okay. I'll be safe with him. She then goes back. She's like, okay, you win. Dylan says, cool, I'll come pick you up. She turns to Max. He then turns to Max, who is sitting in his car, and she's all happy. She says, I'm not the one and he turns to her and he's like, are you happy? And she's like, I'm not the one you should be worried about pleasing. If you mess up, it's the grinder for both of us.
What do you think the grinder is?
I don't know, but it's a very good, like, evil term for this. Like, what would happen? At Caleb's, Remy starts sleepwalking, and Luke gets the rest of the crew to follow her. Luke grabs a bat. This is actually a really funny line. Luke grabs a bat, and Caleb asks what's it for, and Luke says self-confidence.
Which is valid.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, this isn't probably going to do anything, but like, Miranda tells Caleb to be careful. Olivia and Dylan sit on a blanket making out. She says, like, I told my brother I was safe with you. He's like, you are safe with me. She then looks at him and says, I want to remember what you look like tonight. He asks, what's so special? And she kisses him. Grundwald, exactly. K-S-S-I-N-G.
But it could have been Miranda.
I know.
That's what I wanted.
Not this idiot.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, we know he's evil, but like, they do a good job of it be like, you understand why like Olivia's like, well, he's such a nice guy because he's really good at like acting about that. Grundwald sits knitting as Miranda appears and knocks it out of her hand. She says, that's right, I'm getting better at this. Grundwald then says, I know you're upset and must be angry and feel like a prisoner, but this is the only way. Miranda then hears whispers and wind, and when the CGI being comes after her again, Grundwald stands up and says, stop it now, and it goes away. Grundwald grabs her knitting things and goes back to knitting. Remy walks through the woods as Caleb and Luke follow. She stops and we hear the accordion music playing. She starts singing the song and the boys notice it's the words from the prayer book. She stands in front of the dilapidated house and she sees in her dream the night Caleb and Miranda come and hear about the pact. She sees them hide as Esther leaves. Outside the dream, Caleb and Luke watch her and Caleb notices the house and goes to look inside and Luke follows.
They leave the sleepwalking woman alone.
Bad. In the dream, Remy hears the meeting happening and goes inside, both in the dream and outside because they opened up the door for her. So I guess it worked out in the end. Inside, the men hold hands and chant and do magic. Outside the dream, it's just hay and leftover barn materials. Luke hears a noise when suddenly a pitchfork flies at him. This is when I was having a good time. After the commercials, Luke wants to get them out of there. Excuse me. But Caleb says, no, this is our only chance. Remy sees the men sign a paper. Outside the dream, Luke wonders if it's gone, and then a scarecrow attacks him. Caleb and Luke fight the scarecrow. Caleb whacks the scarecrow's heads off. In the dream, Thomas is the last one to sign. Outside, Caleb stabs the scarecrow with a pitchfork. In the dream, Thomas shakes hands with the preacher, who says, you're doing the right thing, son. Remy watches the preacher leave and follows him to the car idling outside, which has the Collins, Hinchley, and Trumbull, like the funeral services, like logo printed on it. He hands the paper to the driver and says it's done. The car then drives away, and the preacher opens his arms and turns into a crow.
Or a raven.
Or raven, yeah. Caleb and Miranda run through Remy, and she wakes up. The boys ask what happened. Remy says preacher was working with somebody and thinks it has something to do with the Collins family. Grundwald lights candles as the attack visage appears before her, and she says, I know, I love you too. Dylan drives home, him and Olivia home, as she all smiles, and he's all smiles. He looks in the rearview mirror and sees Max in the back seat, and she's all smiling. The end.
Okay. One, I think Miranda's outfit changed, but I'm not 100% sure. And I'd love to know if it was like that closet or just like, how that worked.
Well, Caleb in the in the break,
jacket?
She was wearing.
Take off the jacket, maybe.
Yeah, she was. Oh, maybe. But it almost looked like she was wearing like a fuzzy sweater.
Yeah, but was she not wearing that before under the jacket?
Maybe
the outfit got too hot.
Right. We lost the jacket in a few months.
Okay, so let's talk about Remy for a minute because Remy's having nightmares.
Yes.
Valid. Been there, done that. Happens to me all the time. And apparently any old someone can just immediately lucid dream.
I know. She was good at it.
Because I naturally lucid dream, which for me just means that I know that I'm dreaming.
I've never been able to.
I'm not great at manipulating the situation or controlling it, but I am aware that I'm asleep. And usually it freaks me out a little. It gives me stress.
Yeah.
So this whole thing is just baffling to me.
Yeah, completely. Her mom apparently taught her techniques that's their like shorthand way of doing this. Of being like, you can take back your power in the dreams. I'm assuming like pulling from like Nightmare on Elm Street or something.
Yeah.
It's like you have the power to take it back. And I guess that would make sense why they're doing like Scarecrow. I guess it kind of looks like Freddy a little bit.
But then she's also sleepwalks. So how did she put together that she would sleepwalk to where she needed to go?
Because she sees the house but didn't sleepwalk there before.
Yeah.
But then because I guess it led her to the vault. I think that would be the other one. In the big, we don't get that in this episode, and we even don't get a corresponding dream in that episode for us to do it. But I think that's the leap here, is that because it led her there before, and she's like, I need to follow my sleepwalkingness. Why she has these like otherworldly powers, or like why she's being contacted that way.
You don't know. Maybe
something to do with her dad, because her dad seems like weird and like standoffish about this stuff. And maybe the dad happens to know about the curse because of like
him
her mom
or whatever.
Exactly. And like her mom coming back and things like that. But I don't know. It's an interesting one. Or maybe made some sort of deal maybe to keep her safe. But I would assume it would be something like that. I don't think she has the same like bloodline sort of stuff as like Caleb and Miranda do.
Yeah,
but unless they do pull something like I was kind of mentioning earlier, where they all have some sort of bloodline tracing back. Because I guess that would explain why like Olivia and Luke's dad went searching.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the other thing too about the whole dream and everything that I thoroughly enjoyed was Remy just casually walking up to boys doing magic.
Yeah.
I was like, it's just boys doing magic.
This is like the type of stuff we needed. Like all the exactly. Yeah, just watching it on there. But I think all the magic stuff, even all the practical effects, the CGI effects are what really bring it even down. And it's just like, okay, this is weird ghost.
I love it.
The preacher turning into a crow or a raven.
Yeah,
that's good stuff.
Who attacked them with the pitchfork scarecrow thing? How did that work?
Oh, right. What is the thing that's trying to keep them away from that? I'm assuming...
Is it like Dylan?
Oh, maybe. Like, yeah, someone that would be in that, like, sort of crew of Max. I could see it being Max, too. Trying to prevent them from, like, getting there.
Yeah, maybe that's what Max was doing while Olivia and Dylan were having sex on the grass.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
But yeah, at least something in the evil crew there, trying to prevent them from figuring out more about the truth.
I heart Grundy in this episode. Big hearts.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because Grundy to Olivia goes, you don't even know, or is it Miranda where she goes, you don't even know
Olivia,
yeah, the questions, let alone the answers that you're looking for. And I was like, ooh, Grundy, tell me more.
Right.
What else, bitch?
Yeah, this really solidifies these episodes that like that her and Collins aren't like trying to get after them, but like are just like know more that they're letting on. And also her, oh my god, what was it? Her nonplusness around like Miranda, like coming in and trying to rattle her. She's just kind of like, oh, God, okay, like get out of here, scat.
Okay, like I'm sorry, but you know.
Other than trying to tell the other ghost from like stopping to attack her.
Yeah, it's like she's like, go away. The other thing is Grundy, I trust her solely because of her decor.
Oh yeah.
Because when we gotta look at Grundy's room, I spotted one taxidermied and or stuffed dog sitting on her desk.
Yeah, it's like in the back right of the screen, because you're like, why is there that dog there? And I was like, what do you mean?
Like there's a dog on her desk.
Yeah, it's really
black
funny.
And white dog. It was like a skinny Herman. Not saying, he's a chunky boy. He's a corgi. He's just built like that.
That was a small dog.
Yeah. And our dog's big.
That's right. Big dog.
A big corgi.
We do in terms of corgi size, he's quite big.
He's a big corgi. Yeah, but he's not very big.
No.
Okay. What is happening? You already guessed though, with the light and Grundy that she loves too. She's like, I love you too.
Yeah, I'm assuming like it's the same thing as the boy with the blood eyes, and I think it's probably her son.
I see.
That's my guess. Like tragic death, maybe related to one of the incidents of like kids dying. Okay. And
that's why she's like around, is because of that.
Exactly. Yeah. And is more connected, maybe was already connected to the family anyway, but that's like double down on her connection to like the Collins, where like, and why she's like so trustworthy of Raven, because he's like, I will help protect him, and here's what we need to do, because something else will come after him. Okay. And I think that's what they're doing, is like protecting him from the big bad that the preacher is working with.
Why would Remy take Luke back?
I don't know. Let's just say it's none of it's followed up on. Not even Olivia being upset that he kissed Tess, because that'd be huge for her too. It's just completely dropped. It's like they're like, we don't have time for this.
We ignored episode 5.
Yeah, it's like they're just back together. It's much easier for us if we do this. But like, Tess is gonna have to come back up because I think Tess is probably evil. So it's like, I guess they're just punting it. But like, I don't know why they're back together. I guess just narrative streamlining. But
I just realized I'm very Mona in this outfit. I'm wearing a black hat and a black sweater. I'm A.
Watch out.
Or am I Ezra?
Oh.
No, I'm not a creepy
Now
man.
you're Mona.
Yeah. I'm girl bossing.
That's right.
Not dating high schoolers. Yeah, those are my real questions on this, because like a lot of this is just like,
there's not like a ton that happens this episode, but I think it's the best one. We get some deep nuggets on lore.
mm-hmm.
And I think like the more like goofy horror elements in this are all good. The Scarecrow, that's good.
Yeah.
The like town ritual performing magic, that's good. Even like Remy having these like weird dreams is good.
Uh-huh.
There's like, we need more of that. There's not enough of that. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And this is the episode that I was like, oh, Mick Garris is on this, that directed it. So I think that there's at least like some of that stuff. And I would like to see, again, more practical effects. So it's just like frustrating to see like what could be.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't even need that much. Like, it helps like kind of like go along with some of the plot. Or not have to have this like really intense plot to like have like some of this more like exciting stuff.
Well,
I would like to see the boys get attacked once an episode.
only 4 more episodes.
Yeah.
Only 2 more episodes of this podcast.
Mm-hmm. We're almost there.
And then we go back to our girls.
That's right. But before we do.
Yeah.
Is this hallway getting long? Oh, wait, no, I can't. Is this hallway getting farther? Well, we should step in too. Brenton's creepy corner. So now we know what the curse is, and that there was a pact, and that it was like 5 innocent kids to protect all the soldiers coming from home, because, which I think I do find like that sort of thing interesting, that it's still these people are like with their backs against the wall, or like this is the World War I is the time when war is no longer there. People are starting to realize that it isn't quite as like this like valorous thing. That war is like big and tragic, and people more intent on questioning the like former beliefs of like sending your people there. It's less of an assumed opinion as it was before, as like this valorous thing for you to do. And so like these people like coming together to try and figure out, I think what happens is that these people in the town are buying into an obvious devil sort of huckster kind of trickster demon sort of thing in the preacher, to help assuage any like grief they could potentially feel, or like their fears. They have like fallen into this person's trap, and so he works for, I assume, is the kind of like higher up on like the Collins line. I think that's where it starts, is the person who's in the carriage is related as like a great ancestor. So maybe even like Esther's father, I think maybe could be it. And so he's like I said, like that devil kind of thing, like in a search for like power and like hunger, and so maybe even everlasting life or something. And so by offering the kids, they are able to sustain. And so I think that's why, like, when the kids
like
die,
a soul eater or something.
Exactly. So when the kids die and they stay around, if they aren't kept at the house where the house is protected, maybe protected and warded from this like progenitor Collins, that he would devour these souls or whatever. And so I think that's why like they try and lead the kids into the house so they could be eaten, and that sort of stuff. I'm gonna keep the same idea that all the rest of them didn't die because they weren't virgins and weren't pure like Miranda was as the main reason. That's classic horror stuff. But it's like the opposite this time.
Like a virgin trope.
Right, exactly. So instead of all of them dying, like only the virgin died. It's like the inverse. And I think that the Caleb and Miranda being the people that could prevent the curse, I think that's what Esther tries to do with like the locket, and then gets Thomas to go along with it, of like keeping their hair there so that and enacting some sort of ritual so that they would come back as our regular Caleb and Miranda now. And so I don't know if Collins is necessarily in on that, but it would at least like, I don't think he is at the moment, but is trying to like maybe help them out in oblique ways of just trying to protect them and by keeping them away. And I think Grundwald's in the same boat as that. And like I said, my idea that the ghosts that we're seeing there and that even attacked Miranda is like potentially her son, and that's why her and Raymond are so close together. And she like understands all these things because her son was in one of the accidents, maybe the science lab accident, and he has like tears of blood, so I don't, maybe, and so that's why she knows about these things and is like, well, here's the way to do it, and we can only stave off these souls from being like taken from by this other thing. Oh, did I miss anything? Oh, I'll go with that Olivia and Luke's dad was looking into this because I'll still go with the bloodline thing for now, that there's like some other bloodline with them too, and so he was looking into it and finding out more about this. And I think maybe Remy's dad also understands about this, but has maybe looked the other way because it protected his wife.
I love it.
Yeah, I think that kind of covers it all, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, since we get the outline of like what the curse is so plainly, it kind of like dispels a lot of the things, which is nice. So I'll at least say that. Well, thank you so much for coming to Brenton's Creepy Corner. We'll see you all next time. Goodbye. Goodbye, good night, good luck.
That's how I feel watching the show sometimes.
So long, farewell, Auf Wiedersehen.
That's what I'll be saying when we finish.
So long, and thanks for all the fish. Yeah. An up week is still kind of a but
yeah. I just, we talked about it at the beginning of the episode, but I'm just like, I don't know what the goal was here.
No. They made a big miscalculation in how they were doing this. They didn't give it enough time to get up and running, and they really hitched their wagon to a bad ship.
Yeah. And I think it's just, like, I don't know if they intentionally didn't go as horror-y because, or like as campy because they were like, oh no, we want to be like serious horror, or because we were like, oh, like we just want to do something different, or we don't want to be like other things.
Yeah.
But what I like about shows like this and like teen shows is usually that they're filled with tropes.
Yeah.
So like I'm okay. Like if the trope is done well, I'm okay with it. But I'm like, oh, none of these tropes are landing. We got our cursed. We got our fated mates. We got our kind of like found family, but they don't really feel like a found family.
No. It doesn't lean into the fun as much.
No.
So
I miss having fun.
Well, like it was like just that one scene really where they're being attacked by the Scarecrow and like pitchforks are flying at them I'm like, this is great.
I thought that was okay.
Oh, I was having a grand old time with that. I thought it was really funny. It was really fantastic. But
yeah,
you know,
we are where we are.
We are.
We're gonna get through it.
We are. And so we will get through this episode by moving on to plugs. You can find this podcast on all your audio podcast platforms of choice at Dead Ends. Rate and review us. Supposedly that helps. We are a small podcast.
But please don't base it on don't base it on Ravenswood. Rate us on Pretty Little Liars.
Who knows? Maybe you like these episodes. I feel like we are doing, good episodes on Ravenswood. So,
Oh, I think we're doing okay. I just think the show is so bad. I worry it'll bring us down.
Fair enough.
Don't put us in the same bucket as Ravenswood.
Please don't. We think we're more.
We have a lower budget, and yet I somehow think we're exceeding.
we feel like we're more of a PLL season 3 podcast. So
3B specifically, where shit gets good.
That's right.
Or the Toby reveal.
Yeah,
we want to be Toby reveal.
We are Dark Toby. Hence the getup.
Yeah, that's why I'm wearing all black and you're wearing pink. It makes perfect sense.
That's right. Oh, and we are also on YouTube at dead_ends. You can also find just scheduling updates and the occasional meme at Dead Ends Podcast on Twitter. And you can also send us any questions or things that you'd like to be read in our email inbox at deadendspodcast@gmail.com. That is in the description box on all the episodes.
Thank you so much for being here with us.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Dearly
we really
beloved, we are gathered here today.
Well, with that, we are still here. We're going to find out everything.
I don't think we are. There's only 4 more episodes left, and I still don't even know what the plot is.
We will find out everything as much as we can.
Okay, love you. Bye.